Do you know how much sugar is in your Coca-Cola bottle? Any clue? You might think you do, but you'd be a far way off and very, very incorrect. If I'm successful at the end of this video, you're never going to desire drinking Coca-Cola ever again. Hello there, my dear children of the apocalypse. How are we doing today? Welcome back to the 52 weeks of self-improvement, and welcome to an episode about sugar. I want to tell you a story before we begin, because this is a true story. As you know, I'm a cyclist, and cyclists' lead source of food, or lead source of nutrition, is actually carbohydrates. We eat copious amounts of starches, copious amounts of gluten, copious amounts of sugar. Sugary beverages, sugary drinks, sugary snacks. If you're on a bike and you're doing a long ride, and you've done 100 or so kilometers or miles or whatever, and you get really tired and your body just shuts down and goes, dude, I cannot move an inch. Jump to the nearest supermarket, get yourself a bottle of Coke, down that, delicious, sugary, beverage filled with bubbles and happiness, and off you go, and you're just filled with energy again. But we're doing the same things when we're gaming. So many guys are chugging down those massive monster drinks, and people in their car chugging on Red Bull because they're too tired from the the fender bender they had the previous evening. Anyhow, a couple of weeks back, a friend of mine came over, and we had a bit of a fender bender ourselves. We weren't 100% sober, and he was on his phone. He was drinking Coca-Cola, and he's swiping on TikTok. And I was a little bit preoccupied with being hungry, having munchies, and wanting to eat something. So I open up the fridge, and I take out one of those protein puddings. Contains 20 grams of protein, no artificial sugars or something like that, right? Whatever bullshit they sell you. Now, I know that it's processed and it has all the E's and the coagulators and the taste balancers, weird stuff that you should not be eating, but whatever. I open up the pudding and I'm like, I wonder how much sugar this thing has, right? So I eat it, I look at it, and I'm like, and I look at the nutrients table, and I take out a scale. I would never do this when I'm sober. Realistically, how many of you would ever consider actually taking a scale and getting a bowl and weighing out the sugar that is inside something? Like, nobody's doing that sober. But thank God I wasn't. And I was doing this, and I was really excited about it. And I weigh out the sugar, and it came out to 19 grams, right? So I bring it to my friend. I'm like, hey, look, in this thing, there's this much sugar, right? And I showed to him, and he couldn't have given less of a flying F. Right, he just looked at it and he was like, whatever, and he goes back to scrolling TikTok. And I was really offended by that, because to me it seemed like a really interesting topic, and he wasn't interested. And then I look at his glass of Coca-Cola, which I'd poured him earlier, right, it's 500 milliliter glass. It's half a liter of Coca-Cola, right, the same bottle you'll get at McDonald's or going to the cinema. So what I do is I open the fridge again, I take out the big bowl, right, the big kahuna, the 1.5 litre Coca-Cola, which, by the way, I could probably drink in one sitting if I was really into it. I take it out, I look at the label, right, and I'm like, okay, 20 grams of sugar, and I just start weighing out the sugar. And because it's in 100 grams, I have to multiply by 5, so whatever the number is, I do it 5 times. And when I put the bottle down, and I looked into the bowl, and I looked at how much sugar there was, and there was a number next to it, and there was, most importantly, the quantity. Because in the little pudding, little vanilla pudding, there was roughly 1 full spoon of sugar, which is a lot, but it isn't a drastic amount. But in half a litre of Coca-Cola, there's nearly 60 grams of sugar. That's the same amount of sugar I will put into tiramisu, which my whole family will eat for 3 days. And here you consume it in one sitting. I was so repulsed by it, I stood there in disbelief, realizing that, how many liters of Coca-Cola have I drunk? If you thought about that, if there was a way to add up all the sugary, cancerous drinks you've ever consumed, and then weighed out the sugar, I think you'd need a room. I think my entire room filled with sugar to the brim wouldn't get to the end of it. And it's frightening because we talk about drugs, we talk about alcohol, we talk about porn addictions and depression and gaming addictions, and nobody talks about the sugar epidemic. Nobody talks about how sugar is in absolutely everything we consume. And what we're consuming today is massive loads of items which are packaged in plastics and packaged with processed sugar. And I don't think this is unrelated to the state of obesity, to the state of depression, to the state of mood, to the state of this testosterone. I think everything is related. And when you start to realize these things, something in your head starts to go, I get almost sick just thinking about it. I get sick with the idea that I would, right now, without problem, crack open a can of Coke, drink it, burp a couple of times, and then feel the invigoration of being filled with sugar, which goes away. It's no different than sparking up a joint or shooting heroin up your bloody, your vein. In fact, I've listened to it so many times that in fact sugar activates the same receptors in your head as I think a shot of heroin does. Obviously, I'm not going to go out there and test this, but I believe the scientist who said that, because I think that sugar is such a monstrous drug, it may very well be more toxic than alcohol. But as alcohol has, sugar has earned a rightful position of high morality in this modern culture, where it's fine to eat it. It's completely fine. Have some of that chocolate. Yeah, just have a boost of sugar. It's okay. Dude, Red Bull makes you wings. In fact, if all of us today stopped eating sugar for a week, we would probably get sick. I think our head would start to hurt. I think our bodies would start to temporarily malfunction. That's how deeply rooted this substance is in our bodies. Now, I'm far from having conquered my inner sugary demons, mainly because, number one, I'm in a sport where the nutrition based that's necessary is in fact sugar. So that's a bit of a painful way to go about it. But the other thing is that you cannot ridicule it and remove it from your diet entirely, because it's absolutely everywhere. You'd have to first really remove all processed items altogether just to make sure there's none of it there for you to see. Then again, we love desserts. I still love having myself a panna cotta, tiramisu, pancakes. All these things are going to contain sugar. I mean, the next time you're eating, from that giant jar of Nutella, think about what's in there, because it's mostly bad fats and shitloads of sugar. But hey, makes my belly warm, makes my heart sing. Right? It's like a warm hug of chocolateness. Yeah, it's a warm hug of chocolateness today. It's a fat belly, diabetes, and cancer later down the line. So if you can, please, cut as much sugar as you can from your diet. And believe me, you will start feeling better. Again, I'm far from it. I'm not here in a position where I'm trying to say, I'm a Superman. Right, I'm an Ubermensch, I've stopped eating sugar and I feel like God. Never going to happen, right? I will probably never be able to completely remove sugar from my diet. But I think if we take small steps, baby steps, just less of those, processed sugary Coca-Colas and Sprites and Red Bulls and Monster Energy drinks, just removing those from your life, which isn't very difficult to do, because you've got water and water is bloody delicious, your life will get better. In fact, if this has ever happened to you, and I'll end it on this note, if at any point in your life water didn't taste good, you've got a problem. You should be able to pour yourself a large glass, half a litre glass of water and down it in one go and enjoy it. The same way that you drink from your water bottle in the middle of the night as if you're the most dehydrated person that's been walking through the Sahara. That type of chugging process and loving the process of ingesting water into your system should be there every single time you're drinking water. If that's not the case, you've got a sugar problem. I've been there. It's where water doesn't taste good, so you're looking for the next best thing. I won't have this glass of tap water. Instead, I want the Coke bottle that's in the fridge, right? I want the water with flavour, like water that tastes like cauliflower. I don't know, whatever the taste they've got, peach and elderberry and cherry and whatever. You're starting to search for sugar. Water itself doesn't taste good to you, so you're trying to reach out for a sugary substance that will make the water taste better. If you're ever in that position, stop immediately, think about what you're doing, and just don't. So just do it. Cut the sugar out of your life, get to a better state, feel better, do better, drink water. It's not hard. It's actually really, really easy and healthy. Take care and safe flying.